Oh my goodness, that's a difficult question. Bulgaria has so many things to offer, and this being my first time, I was utterly fascinated by most of the things that I saw. But because I have a very deep interest in ancient history, perhaps the tombs of the ancient Thracian kings were the most exciting for me. I was very interested in seeing the architecture of these tombs of the kings and noticing that the iconography was older than the iconography or the styles of the ancient Greeks, but in a way similar, and it made me wonder if the Greeks were in fact influenced in their architectural styles, of course, by the Thracians. I think that the state of preservation was absolutely fascinating. They're so well taken care of, and the examples are so good, yet undiscovered, it appears. I'm very impressed that the stones with which they were built were perhaps taken from 20 or 30 miles away, and they're so large, I cannot conceive how they were able to move the stones, to cut them with such precision, and to place them, and that these are so old, older than the pyramids in Mexico, with which I'm familiar, but every bit as complex. Well, Scottish Rite Freemasonry is a branch of Freemasonry. In order to be a Scottish Rite Mason, you must first be a Mason who belongs to a Grand Lodge. Of course, here we have the United Grand Lodge of Bulgaria. As a tradition, as a fraternity, Freemasonry is celebrating its 300th birthday, its 300th anniversary this year. It began as a fraternity in London in 1717, and it originated from the builders of the ancient cathedrals in Europe. They assigned symbols, or symbolism, to the working tools of the fraternity. The mallet, the square, the compasses achieved a moral meaning, and the Masons have passed down these traditions into the form of a fraternity. Scottish Rite Freemasonry may have begun originally about 1732 with a membership level called the Scots Master Degree. Many degrees or levels of membership were developed from this period up until about 1800, and the Scottish Rite was founded in 1801 in Charleston, South Carolina, in the United States. I should start by explaining that the purpose of the Masonic symbols is to create an enlightened society. The member learns to interpret symbolism. For example, if he sees the form of a square, it is an angle of 90 degrees. It never deviates, and it teaches him to be perfect in his actions, to be upright in his actions. The compasses can be used to circumscribe his desires. And so I look for this type of similar iconography or symbolism in ancient cultures, and I believe that many of the ancient cultures also passed down this type of wisdom. The ancient Thracians, I'm sure, had some. The Greeks, the Romans also had their mystery schools and ways of teaching this information. So the symbols may not necessarily be the same, but they might have a similar importance. They might teach similar lessons. Well, of course, this depends upon where you live. In some countries, Freemasonry is very open and free with its symbolism. In the United States, for example, it is common to see an American businessman who wears a symbol of the square and compasses on his jacket, or perhaps on the back of his automobile. He's very proud of this symbol. But in other countries where there has been oppression or repression, we've had to be very cautious. In primitive times, people were very cautious of things they did not understand. If you don't understand something, you tend to be afraid of it. And at other times, they were seen as a challenge. And this is understandable. Freemasonry developed at a time when kings ruled the world. And our first constitutions of Freemasonry, published in 1723, talked about a separation of powers in government, giving members the right to free choice, to elect their own leaders. And these are things that could be challenges to the types of governments that existed in Europe at the time. But we look at this in retrospect and see that these are today the elements of a common and free and open society.